Manever I say ma PENDREAM TV. PENDREAM TV there, I see them yopo.
Is still suffering with broken down equipment and all that. So David, ordinary Ghanaians feel that this is an insult onto their person as citizens. Because when we are sick, you leave us to the mercies of the Kolebus and the Confanoche Teaching Hospital. Indeed, Nana Otufo had to go around to beg people for just $10 million to rehabilitate the Confanoche Teaching Hospital. Yes, so we had a government whose stronghold was the Ashanti region. Yet they did not see the sense and the need to take that $97 million, a part of it, to even help Nana Otufo rehabilitate Confanoche Teaching Hospital, but to bring a stone and to dig a pit. So these are the people we're talking about. This is a national issue, not a partisan one. The ills of Ken Ofori Atta as finance minister. Look, Ken Ofori Atta was like a tin god under the previous regime. That any of the contracts, even jute sacks from Cocoa Board, had to go through the hands of Ken Ofori Atta. And those, I don't want to use the word, but those circles, the circle of Akufo-Addo, which Ken Ofori Atta was part. So, David, you see, we've lost a lot of opportunity as a country under the leadership of Ken Ofori Atta. We had a lot of issues where even, look at the debt, the public debt. And the reason why the public debt went so high, and according to Franklin Kujo, at the just ended the African Summit, he revealed to us that Ken Ofori Atta actually wanted to raise $50 billion in Eurobonds. But he advised him, and thank God he didn't even raise that 50 billion. But I think the amount of money he raised was about 33 billion or so. And that it was a deliberate attempt to do that because Data Bank was at the center of all these transactions. And they were getting a commission. For many times, Ghana raises bonds. SIC, State Insurance Company, which is the chief insurer for most of government assets and services, was losing revenue because Ken Ofori Atta's enterprise insurance became a monopoly. And wherever state insurance company was supposed to insure within government transactions and assets, they were taken out of it, and enterprise was the one doing it. Conflict of interest. Right. Absolutely. Yes, so these people in the MPP do not see anything wrong with that. Their own party members, MPs, over 50 of them, 90, stood in Parliament, at the forecourt of Parliament, and declared that Ken Ofori Atta must resign, must go. Members of the New Patriotic Party. Yes, still, the Akufo-Addo regime saw nothing wrong because at the end of the day, he was their chief treasurer. So anytime they loot, he is the one that keeps the looted purse. So David, Ken must be brought. The AG has to be up and doing. Honestly, it's been 1 year and is, more than enough time for us to get Ken here. Now that he's under detention, and indeed, this has even exposed the lies of his lawyers. Because we know, and counsel is here, that the way they painted his illness, that Ken Ofori Atta cannot even walk. Yes, and you cannot detain a very sick person.
Oh, he's now better, so to speak.
No, but if you are better, according to the lawyer's letter and according to his letter, he said when he gets better, he's going to calm down. But they are still painting the image in the images in the minds of Ghanaians that Ken Ofori Atta is not well. He cannot even walk. That is the image they are painting. And so today, Ghanaians have seen the truth. And the lies of the MPP has been exposed. that Ofori Atta is indeed well, and that is why the U.S. immigration has arrested him and he has kept him in detention. So we are calling for the AG and indeed the Minister for Foreign Affairs to use their offices to expedite the processes so that we can get Ofori Atta in this country to face the justice system for the crimes he has created against Ghanaians. Indeed, I would say crimes against humanity.
Right. Alaji, what do you see happening? Is he coming or is not coming? Or can Ghana take advantage of the situation and bring him back?
Governance and policy. And so definitely I concur to some of the points he makes, especially under Article 89 of our 1992 Constitution that talks about the Council of State. Over the years, we have realized that the Council of State has become a protege for the executive. That is why you quite recollect that in Kumasi, a Council of State election was so tense and so polarized that they had to suspend it and conduct it on a different day. To show you how partisan these elections are. And so, in going forward, part of the solution is that, David, Ghana currently runs a unicameral parliamentary system. We are thinking that in order to ensure checks and balances and the appointments of independent heads of constitutional bodies, we should have a second chamber. We should transition into a bicameral parliamentary system. And with this second chamber, the question then begs, who should man this? In the vision of the United Party, underpinned by our great transformational plan, we think that the second chamber should be made up of non-state actors and non-political actors, like our traditional authorities, like our faith-based organizations, gender-based organizations, trade union, academia, the media, CSOs, which we tout as the fifth realm of the fifth estate of the political realm. Then, coupled with also reps from PWDs and private sector captains, who would have the mandate to appoint heads of independent constitutional bodies, would have the mandate to even approve the budget of the judiciary. Because now, as Prof did say, that the judiciary is indeed the weakest as far as all these various arms of government is concerned, because you don't appoint the speaker. The president does not appoint the speaker, but appoints the CJ. Right? And we believe that, well, if Parliament then has to approve the budget of the judiciary, then it's like, hey, there's no actual separation of power, because the word is with the money. David, do you understand what I'm saying? And if a certain party has majority in Parliament, can you imagine if MPP had majority in Parliament and NDC had the executive, how this issue of trying to reset the judiciary would be, and how they might even frustrate the budgetary allocations to or approval to the judiciary. I think that we should have an independent body, that's a second chamber, that would be able to, the budget of the judiciary would be approved by them and not even a partisan parliament. We should have these frameworks so that we can be able to depoliticize and depolarize our various arms of government. People argue that, well, the second chamber, you are saying traditional authorities and some CSOs and all that, but they are partisan, or they are seen to be partisan, especially our traditional authorities, looking at some of the utterances coming from our traditional authorities. But again, this is as a result of the ills and the flaws of our constitution. Because as Prof. Riley mentioned, and the word he used was an imperial executive. If you have an imperial executive, everybody becomes a sycophant around you.
Yeah.
Everybody becomes a sycophant around you.
I agree.
But if you are able to reduce the power of the executive, of course, and you give the powers to this second chamber, which the traditional authorities will be part, can you go and tell Nana Otunfoɔ that because of party A or because of our party agenda, you should support such an agenda? No. We've seen how Otunfoɔ has led this country and intervened in serious, grave matters like the Boko crisis, like the Dabo crisis, like even when President Kufuor was trying to get a deal from the IMF under the HIPIC program, Otunfoye had to intervene with his connections.
Yeah.
So I definitely concur with what Prof is saying, that we need to have some, what do you call it, rational reform of our constitution. There is a need. We've had stability, thanks to God, for within this past 34 years under the aegis of the 1992 constitution. But I believe that we ought to have further reforms in this regards, right, to ensure that we have strengthened institutions, our governance, architecture and system is strengthened, so that the dreams and aspirations of the Ghanaian people can be leapfrog and we can be able to have tangible developments in our country.
Council,
So I believe that it is a collective effort of all persons of Ghana, citizens, and various actors and advocates in shaping the narrative as far as our constitution is concerned. David, you know, part of the recommendation that I quietly agree with the Constitutional Review Committee is the reduction of the age limit for an occupant of the office of the executive. I mean, for far too long, Africa has been promoting a gerontocracy. For far too long. Cameroon is a classical example. A person who cannot even write his name with a pen is still leading them. And I believe that if you reduce the age limit to 30 as they have recommended, it really gives the youth the opportunity to also govern, because it shows the true representation of the citizenry in terms of age demography, because the youth are more. And when democracy, we say majority carries a vote. And so I totally agree with such recommendation. And in our African cultural dispensation, we tend not to really give opportunity to the young ones. We tend to downplay the erudition and the ability of young ones. Development and knowledge is never about age but ability. And so I think that it is time for the youth to take up these responsibilities. And I believe that going forward, I myself is going to also be a proponent in advocating for ensuring that that is also adapted in the new constitution that we want to have. The issue of ex-gratia, I think, has been topical. It should be abolished. If you want to lead the people of Ghana, it is based on what? Your own volition. You are volunteering because you have a vision. You sell out your vision through a message, and the people adapt it and support you through what? An election cycle or process. And then you're given a mandate to leave. After you are leaving, after you've left office, you want a certain package. And even they themselves go and sit down. They create a committee through the president. They sit down and then they cook something for themselves.
That's when Parliament comes together and agree, have a common agreement when it comes to issues about ex-gratia. They all come together and agree. No collusion, they come together and agree, all of them.
You know, well, David, that's the irony. Can you imagine? But I believe that when you're a member of Parliament, when you are part of the executive, you are there to serve. We need servant leaders. You are there to serve the people, and it should be based on your own volition. Volunteer and serve. When you go back home, it is your actions that will take care of you. If you led as a good leader and ensure that we had macroeconomic stability, that inflation is down, that the prices of goods and services are down, that remuneration is appropriate and has a nexus to the current market economic stability, then of course when you go on retirement, you would enjoy some form of stability. If the roads are good, if the hospitals are good, when you go on retirement and you are sick, you will not fly to Mayo Clinic like somebody has done. So this is what we are looking for. And because of the gaps in the constitution, we tend to suffer from all these things. We are vehement about the second chamber. indeed, there should be a second chamber. We are so vehement about this point because we are so polarized as a society. Politics has entered and assimilated every facet of the Ghanaian society. That today, I am sure even when somebody is going to buy a tuber of yam, the person will ask even whether the farmer who planted is MPP or NDC. That is the irony.
We are even there. Even ordinary sachet water. There are types that when you buy, people see you with a certain political color.
Yes.
And I'm serious, yes. I've had that experience.
Can you imagine?
The type of pure water that you buy to drink. Wow. Yeah.
And David, another important aspect of review is Article 2576. Currently, the minerals of Ghana is entrusted in the hands of the president. I think it's a problem. Because people sit in Accra and issue concession. Meanwhile, a chief who is a custodian of a certain land and has allodial rights of that land has no knowledge of such. Has no knowledge of such. And that is why one of the key reasons why our traditional authorities are failing and also complicit in the act of Galamsey is because people sit in Accra and issue concessions to companies and they come and mine. They have no knowledge. They have no fair share of it to also contribute to the development of their locality or their kingdom. So I think that it is an amendment that the president has to adapt. We have given that proposal to the Constitutional Review Committee, and I think that in the final submission and adoption, we want to see that also being enacted.
Right. I'll end with you, Council. Oh, and we've been given some extra time, so we'll spend a little bit longer, maybe in the next 10-15 minutes we should be out of here. Imad, so obviously, as I keep saying, the review comes into play. But I want us to look at this before. How do we improve the synergy, looking at the current recommendations that have been made by the CRC? The synergy between I'm looking at it in totality. The synergy between the legislature, the judiciary, and the executive, based on the current recommendations that have been put forward by the CRC. The importance for the Constitution to work is the participation of citizens.
Sure.
Which for me, we've not done much as a country. The NCC has not really lived up to expectation. Going forward, today is Constitution Day. How do we get citizens to participate, especially knowing what the document is all about? Doug, yeah.
Well, David, NCC indeed has not lived up to its mandate. It is very important that we also break down the constitutional education in our various languages, because you know that we are a republic and we are an amalgamation of different tribes, and so people at the grassroots level might not understand it in a certain language, and so it is incumbent on to the NCC, and of course they are not living up to the mandate because they are not well funded and supported.
Wrapping up for me.
That is the issue. So right. I think that we should be able to break it down in various languages so that the grassroots people also understand some of these things that we are talking about. David, lastly, to end on this note, I think that as part of the recommendation to do with our security agency, we need an independent commission of inquiry, right, and investigation, because we've seen brutalities from our security agencies, right, over the years, the police, the military, and currently the fire service on the journalists. And yes, so if you give the mandate to them internally, through their internal processes, some person on the top there will try and influence it against a junior officer who is investigating the matter. And if the junior officer does not succumb to that, he's either transferred or not promoted. That has been an issue. And currently, I am testing the system in PIPS, and I'm going to bring out some reports in this regard. Right. I believe that going forward, we need an independent body that would deal with brutalities and investigations of our security personnel, right, so that it will not be left with them to do.
Right. So I think that's a very good recommendation that you're putting across. Council.
Yes. So David, thank you very much. I just want to make a quick comment. My brother here expressed dissatisfaction with
less than 2 minutes to go.
Okay, Article 66.2. Look, Article 66.2 is unambiguous. David, listen. It says that a person shall not be elected to hold office as president of Ghana for more than 2 terms. Simple. President of Ghana for more than 2 terms, whether consecutive, whatever. They say you cannot be president of the Republic of Ghana for more than 2 terms. It's simple. And I'm happy the president has come out clearly to say that, look, I don't want a third term. Once I run my race, I return to my farm and let Ghana continue.
Right.
So that is very, very clear. We shouldn't belabor this point. Okay, and I am happy about all the recommendations that we have in the Constitutional Review Committee's report. We did not necessarily have to make any pronouncement on this matter, which is plain and white in the Constitution. Thank you.
Yeah, you know.
Yes, I think you raised a very good concern about the public involvement with regards to the Constitutional Review. You know, the original constitution that we are using currently, the 1992 constitution, they involve all persons, from fishermen to the intellectuals. And if we are doing a review of it, we need to also involve the general public. But it's like it was a committee confined somewhere to come out with a report. And even as we speak right now,
10 regions, only 10 regions.
Yes, that is it. And as we speak right now, a lot of people, a lot of Ghanaians, even intellectuals, have not even read half of this recommendation to know what is there. I will get it. So I believe the public advocacy need to actually be enhanced so that people understand what we are seeking to change and what we are seeking to maintain or what we are seeking to add.
Right.
PENDREAM TV now, so far so good. Say open online portal e Ghana. Nipa share, nipa follow, nipa comment here. To my best of knowledge, without any biases, PENDREAM TV.